Welcome to the 2021 Economic Depression and Preparation Channel. I'm your host, Tony. Thank you for joining me on this Monday, August the 2nd, 2021 here, late evening here. And we're going to be talking about the effects of the eviction moratorium that is yet to shake down. As you know, this is the first week into the moratorium. And we also have talking about the second extension of the unemployment benefits that's coming up to be poised to be possibly discontinued at one point. They're poised to end September the 6th, and it doesn't appear that Congress will extend them again. And we're also lastly going to be talking briefly about crypto taxes that could be coming to the crypto market for those in the Bitcoin and other stable coins. So those are the three topics for today briefly. Thank you for joining Preach to Me. I hope you can subscribe. And I thank you for your support and your comments as well on this channel. So let's get right into it. Today, there is an unemployment cliff coming. More than 7.5 million may fall off it, according to CNBC. Federal unemployment payments programs that have paid jobless benefits since March 2020, that's the beginning of this pandemic, so it's over a year and a half, are poised to end September the 6th. It doesn't appear Congress will extend them again. Congress is on vacation. They're on recess, as you know, until September. And so they're enjoying a nice time off there while the eviction moratorium continues to rage on in major cities from Chicago to LA to New York to DC to Miami. 7.5 million people will lose benefits entirely at that time, according to one estimate. Those eligible to collect state unemployment insurance may continue to receive weekly payments post-Labor Day. They would get $300 less per week. So that's been cut in half. Food banks in Los Angeles area and also in the Houston, Texas area continue to report a rise in food production and for food banks. But there's also been a outbreak of crime from cities from DC to Chicago, down in Detroit, and into the Midwest. And crime will continue to go up as millions of jobless Americans are leaving behind the income that they once had and becoming nomadic. A lot of multi-generational households, as you may know, is becoming a nomadic type of household, meaning that many people are moving around to where they can find work, either temporarily, permanently, and people are just trying to make ends meet and to stretch the dollars that we do have doing this third inning of the collapse. As we go into this third inning of the collapse, where the housing market will continue to cool off and fall, it is also unclear whether those renters, renters who were paying during this time and up for renewal of their leases or what have you in apartments or condos, if their prices are going to go up, if their renters are going to go up by 10 or 20% to make up for the shortfall of the revenue that the landlords did not receive. But it's a catch-22, as you know, because you can see here the unemployment rate is spiking back up. As of June 1st, it was at 5.9%. The unemployment rate now, as we head into August, is around 6.1% and growing. And so there's also pressure because the landlords, they need to get paid. They have bills that need to be getting paid. They have to pay their mortgage-backed securities, and they haven't been paid in the last year and a half. They were paid at least some money, but they weren't paid enough money to sustain them for the months that they were arrears and rent from everybody else. So I feel for the landlords too. Let me just put that out there, because it's difficult if you're renting out a place and you're not receiving rent from your tenants, either Section 8 or even regular tenants. So it's just a very difficult situation. But can you imagine the amount of people that we have here in this country? Possibly 10, 15 million people that's affected by the eviction moratorium. And then we're going to have another 7.5 million people affected by losing this $300 weekly unemployment supplement after the Labor Day holiday, which is September 6th through the 9th, somewhere around there, right? So that's going to be something to look forward to. That's going to be something that's going to be really putting pressure on this economy. And the third thing is the lockdown. As you can see, this was the Great Depression number right here. When we had negative 21 million jobs lost in that April 2020, the month following the greatest loss of depression that we've had. And as you can see, we've only recovered maybe a couple of 100,000 of those jobs, possibly. And that's just really the people coming back from furlough that weren't fired, but they were coming back from furlough. Flight attendants, hospitality, transportation, utilities, government workers, things of those natures that made up that coming back from furlough or what have you. So We don't have a recovering economy, according to the report, and that means that the states are going to be ending. 26 states ended their participation in federal unemployment programs over June and July to try to encourage participants to return to work. What jobs were remaining? There was no many jobs. They're not telling this. What they're not telling us in this report is that there wasn't any jobs remaining, and the jobs that were remaining only paid $10 to $12 an hour, 15 at best if you were lucky to get something like that, and that's not enough to afford a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment, let alone a house if you had a mortgage to try to keep going during this crisis. And so you can see that businesses are stretched because the taxes are going to be going up on businesses, regulations are going up on businesses, and there's a lot of states that opt out of the federal unemployment programs here. As you can see, Alaska opted out early here. June 12th, they ended their payments. Of course, residents of Alaska do receive a check for just being in Alaska, but I think it's only like a couple $100, so it's nothing crazy. But if you want to move to Alaska, that's what you would get. New Hampshire, they ended theirs early. North Dakota, Utah. So there's only a couple states left that has not withdrawn early, and most of those states like DC, North Carolina, Delaware, the states in gray here, New York, extension, of course. Most of the states in gray here are in the Northeast. They look to be in the Northeast and the South. That's it. And a little bit of the Midwest. You have Kansas here holding it down for the Midwest and Illinois, but most and some in California. So most of the populated states so far are holding on to not withdrawing early their federal unemployment. But after the Labor Day, that's when you have to watch for big states like California, New York, Florida, DC, Maryland, and those states, New York. That's when the rubber hits the road there. And as you can see, in the jobless claims, they continue to paint it as falling to 400,000, but you know that that's a lot of people losing their jobs. There's not much jobs left. Crypto is going to be taxed, even for the average investor, but I'm still a believer in the crypto because, and the fact that it's digital and that they're getting us used to digital payments and that the dollar is going to be faltering. And so as long as they can tax it, they'll allow it. Look at marijuana and weed and everything else and all that stuff. Look how many weed shops are in your communities now. You know, at first it was a bad thing. It was taboo. They were locking people up, giving them 15, 20 years. Now all of a sudden you can't go by a place without seeing a vaping or a weed shop. So if the government can tax it, it's okay. So that's why I say crypto is going to be fine, even though these tax rules will be coming in here. The Treasury does not know how they're going to implement the law through regulation, but there will be regulations. But despite that, Bitcoin is actually rallying. It's up to 40,000 now, along with some other altcoins, Ethereum, and etc. You guys know, and so it's still a decent investment. I'm saying to have 1 to 2% in there. I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm saying that's what we're moving towards. And you know, if you don't like the old school gold or silver type of junk silver type of investment, it's still going to be there. They're just going to tax you, and you're going to have to start reporting your losses and gains to the IRS, just like you would a stock or a traditional bond. But that's okay. You know, it's not going anywhere. It's still an asset to have. The crypto network is still a valuable option in spite of digital. It's a digital asset, you know, in spite of gains and losses. So continue to prepare that way as well. They're going to be pushing us other ways too as well. But I just wanted to bring that to you today, that it's still in the critical time period. Everything looks calm on the surface of the lake out there on Lake Michigan and other lakes. But underneath there's alligators. There's big things lurking, big sea monsters lurking to bring this economy down and to bring individual American families down every step of the way. But we have to have faith. We continue to prepare. You want to continue to get assets, digital assets most likely, and also physical assets. And like I tell you, the big physical assets to have right now in this third inning of the collapse is, of course, your own self-sufficiency in terms of electricity, food, water, medicine, and supplies that you're going to need, generators, solar generators, other supplies you're going to need as services continue to get slimmer and slimmer as a result of the pandemic and the state-induced depression that we're going to be experiencing in many of these states as a result of their benefits by the government being cut off, either intentionally or because they've literally become insolvent, you know, like Illinois or any of these other states, Illinois, California, New York, on the big major states. Once the big major states fall in line, Florida, California, New York, Illinois, you know what I'm talking about, Texas, once those bigger states fall in lines in terms of mandates with this pandemic, in terms of breaking the economy down, in terms of big depression, it's only a matter of time, like dominoes, before the other states fall. And then it's going to be an all-out battle for resources in the states, you know, and, you know, literally battle for resources. And crime is going to go sky high, as you know, and that's when it's going to be kind of like Mad Max, but not quite yet. It'll be getting there, but not quite yet. Once they control the food, water, and the supplies start rationing and all that, like they did in the Great Depression, that's when the Mad Max comes in. So we're a little ways from that, but things are moving quite faster than what we thought, as they're mandating. A guy mentioned yesterday that they're mandating the vaccines and everything for these companies are firing you. So that's already bringing the pressure on a lot of people, both state and local governments and federal governments and private citizens, private companies like Facebook, Google, Apple, Microsoft, etc., contractors, everybody. So it's getting to that point. And so, like I said, once they affect the critical areas, food, water, shelter, and all of that, then that's when you're going to start seeing people getting frustrated because the second lockdown's coming, and we could be in danger of seeing a lot of crime in America that we probably never thought would happen here. And police are going to be overwhelmed for real, and they're gonna step in and start having riot control and curfews, and you're going to be having, you can only go to the grocery store on Tuesday and Thursday, or whatever, Monday or Tuesday, and just like trash pickup, and they're gonna have all kind of regulations, once that happens. So that's why the eviction moratorium and this unemployment insurance, what they do when they come back, Congress does, when they come back in September through this winter time, it's going to be very critical for a lot of Americans. So be blessed, stay blessed. I'll talk to you guys very soon. Thank you for listening, and see you next tomorrow.